I'm coming across something very interesting that happens everywhere in all relationships. And it has to do with how the polarity creates moments for encounter, or how the polarity creates moments for split or splitting. I've seen lately how difficult it is to keep certain structures, whether they are structures of two people, like a relationship or marriage, or structures where there's more than two people, like an institution or organization. When everything tends to be polarized, meaning that there are two basic positions and there's no encounter, there's not a middle term, and there's no one thing which is essential, which is common good, then that relationship, that marriage, or that group of people will end up splitting. But also I've seen in the macro level of societies how countries, how ideologies, how religions tend to have a very exclusive view of things. Well, this is where I find there's an interesting shift here in the perspective of gurus, people who have enlightened their minds by expanding their consciousness to have a information and data that is wider than just the personal one. Because when we have the personal data alone, we only see things from the personal perspective. And so the yogis, the saints, the gurus, the teachers, the masters, the healers, the people who have expanded consciousness further and beyond the normal, are the ones that are capable of holding more information together, are the ones that are capable of holding more data together. Now, the process of holding that implies an integration. And this is where the practices of prayer and meditation are so necessary in every single human process. You cannot really expand and learn to hold more of a reality that has eventually a very conflicted polarity if your meditative mind is not at work. Your meditative skill essentially is capable of precisely embracing polarities and paradoxes and contradictions in a manner that do not split, but in a manner that they are held together. And this is what is missing in our world. This is what is missing in one's own personal experience when we see our shadow, for example, and we don't like it. It's like this shouldn't exist, as if a part of ourselves didn't have the right to be. Or this happens also in relationship, when there is a relationship and one person from the relationship doesn't like someone's quality, the other person's quality, and would like that to be chopped away. And either the person will sacrifice or then will have to take another path. So when there is this lack of integration of the differences, like everything has the right to exist, in other words, your position, my position, that group's position, this group's position, that perspective of a partner and the other perspective that the other partner has, everything has the right to exist. Now, how can we allow this, not just from the logical point of view, but from the actual emotional point of view? This is when meditation comes into our rescue, because meditation is the space where everything about the human experience can be present at the same time, and you just simply hold that space. If it's a negative emotion, you hold the space. If it's a positive, you hold the space. And if they interchange through time, you hold the space for both. If this expands further and there are new emotions, there are new thoughts, or let's say the group where you are in, the family grows into new members, you have to integrate those new members. If something happens in the relationship, for example, between two people, and one person has a sort of breakthrough or some psychological process and learns new things about herself or himself that the other didn't know before, well, both have to integrate all that information. We cannot live in a relationship with ourselves or relationship with each other or relationship in a group expecting that everything will always remain the same. There will always be a progressive tendency in the life of every entity and human being in this planet, because life is to expand, life is to grow, consciousness is to expand and to grow. And when we pass through aspects of consciousness and human experience that we, our ego, our mind doesn't like, is when we have the test of how much we can integrate everything about life. It's able to hold as much data as possible. And so the heart also can spread that energy of love to everything that the psyche can hold together. If our psyche cuts something and says, this is wrong about you, this is wrong about what you feel or think, ultimately about your essence, then the heart can grow in that area to that person, to that person's quality. I'm not saying people don't make mistakes, but even the mistakes are part of the system. And when we understand the mistake, because we can really understand in the depth why is it a mistake, then we also realize that there is actually a meaning in the mistake. That the person's mistake responds to a certain inner process of heart or mind or trauma or who knows what. But there is something there that also needs to be held in place from heart to heart. And for that, we need to expand that view. We need to be able to see the polarities, create an integration with everything that is in our way. And this is not something that makes us weaker. On the contrary, this makes us stronger. It enhances the ability of our nervous system. It makes us capable of hold tension, stress, pressure as much as we can hold pleasure, enjoyment, and happiness. Everything has the right to exist. And the more we expand ourselves, the more we actually experience the joy of life, the more we feel the blessing and grace that life is all about.